Hey everyone, I'm back. Wow. First and foremost, I'd just like to thank every single person who has subscribed to my channel, who has watched the introduction video and everything. Um, I really, really appreciate the support so early on, and I hope that we'll all be part of the journey as we continue on to journey through life. So I'm back. Before I start, let me get the formalities out the way. If you like what you see and you'd like to see more, please press the thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more of what I get up to, please press the subscribe button. And if you think that someone else would benefit from what I've shared, please, please, please share the video. Otherwise, here we are. So I've decided to do a three-part introduction, sort of, or getting to know me type of situation. I'm doing it in three parts because I want to break it up into 10-year intervals. I will be speaking about the first 10 years of my life in part one, the second 10 years of my life in part two, and the last 10 years up to now in part three. Before I continue, I'd like to just give a disclaimer to say that some of the subject matter may be sensitive. I mean, maybe, why is English failing me? Maybe too much for sensitive viewers, and that I'm adding also a trigger warning as I will be discussing molestation, rape, as well as death. So, the first 10 years of my life. Who is Thandeka? I was born and bred in a small village in KwaZulu-Natal, but I have no memory of it. When I met my father in 2014, my grandmother then told me that we lived with them for the first couple of years of my life. I don't have recollection of that. After some time, my mom moved out and we lived with her, I guess. Basically, I don't have much memory up until I'm around 6 years old, when my mom, being a mother of three daughters, decided to go back home to her father. That December, we went to my grandfather and my step grandmother for the first time. It was in KZN, in a small little village in KwaZulu Natal, called Kwapeguzulu. This is where I would start my official schooling, and where I would basically live in really, really interesting circumstances. Life in KwaZulu Natal was very, very tough. My mom was the only one who was bringing in money from Johannesburg, where she was working as a domestic worker, and my grandparents were quite elderly. So they were both on pension, if I'm not mistaken. Life was a simple life, but very, very difficult because we often didn't have enough food for everyone, because my mom left all three of us there, as well as my mom's stepsister. Her daughter also came to live with our grandparents. I have some beautiful memories of the place. I've got memories of the first time I ever saw snow was in KwaPeguzulu. It was so magical. Although the other side of the coin was that we actually got super super um, what a, what I was saying is that we got a lot of smoke in our eyes because of the type of houses we were having the fire in. I remember very well how my eyes were just watering for most of the time that it was snowing, but it was still a beautiful sight to behold. I then started grade one in KwaZulu Natal in KwaBhekuzulu CP school, where I went for 2 years. So I did grade one and grade two there. It was at this point when it was realized that I'm actually a smart cookie. My mom's employer at the time was like to my mom, "You're wasting this child's smarts. Please take her away from KZN, bring her to Johannesburg, and let's enroll her in the same school that my daughter is going to," which my mom listened to. Thank the Pope. I came to Johannesburg the December of 1997, and This was when I was 7 years old. After much back and forth and fighting and trying to get me into Bordeaux Primary School, eventually it was agreed that they would allow me. I think the reason they didn't want to allow me was because I did not speak a word of English at this point. So they just didn't feel like having a burdensome child. At least that's what I choose to believe about it. So they agreed to take me in on the condition that I would repeat grade two. I was okay. I was fine with repeating grade two. It didn't really matter. It was a new environment. And to be honest, I have no idea what happened when I was in grade two because I had no idea what was actually being said half the time. So my one classmate, Laurent, would actually translate for me if ever there was a need. But by the end of the year, I remember that I got the most progress made by a pupil that year. This was in grade two. Grade three came along. I was in grade three. I passed all right. And then I was understanding the language and I loved my teacher. Oh my gosh. I had one of the best teachers in grade three. She was amazing. Funny enough, she was the daughter to my grade two teacher. So I was in grade 2V, Mrs. Fisher's class, and then I was in grade 3V, Miss Fisher's class, which is awesome. So I was doing well at school. In grade three, I got a prize for mathematics, for being the top pupil in mathematics, which was awesome. Prize giving was amazing and everything. And then we fast forward to the year 2000 in December. In the year 2000 of December, unfortunately, things took quite a drastic turn. We went, my youngest sister and myself, we went to KZN with our mom because the both of us were living with our mom at the time. My middle sister, she was living with relatives in KZN. So we went down to KZN in the hopes that we would reunite or reconnect with my middle sister and then we'd all spend Christmas together. However, there was some sort of miscommunication because when we were going down to KZN, my middle sister was coming up to Joburg. So I don't know what happened there. Needless to say, it was the worst time because my mom was very sick. She unfortunately had contracted the HIV virus and was now suffering from double pneumonia. So when we went to KZN, it was literally for her to just finalize everything in terms of where she wants to be laid to rest, that kind of thing. I specifically remember her and her father arguing about where she wanted to be buried. She was very, very specific and adamant that she wanted to be buried with her maternal grandmother in Bergville, whereas my grandfather wanted her to be buried in the Jwaha place of rest, I would say. After many backs and forths and arguments, eventually her father conceded, my grandfather, and we then left them where we were and went to Bergville, which would be my mother's final resting place. Unfortunately, the place we went to stay at was no longer as in good condition because no one was really living there. So the building was falling apart, the doors were not locking, all those things. But you know what? We made do. So we got there, the three of us, myself at 10, my little sister at 5 years old, and my mom who was very, very sick. She got super sick the one night and asked me to go to a lady down the road to go and fetch some medicine for her. Whew. I knew this part was gonna come at some point, but we're gonna keep pushing because this is why we're doing this. To try and be as authentic and truthful as possible about who we are, where we come from, and where we're going. So we went and getting that medicine actually made her feel a bit better than before. At this point in time, at 10, I was able to cook and clean and do everything that is supposedly expected of young girls. On the 31st of December of the year 2000, it was the festivities for New Year's Eve were underway. and everything. We didn't really get involved in what was happening in the village or anything like that in Bergville. We just kept to ourselves because I was rather shy, believe it or not. So then what happened was we said Happy New Year and everything, and then we retired into the bedroom where we were all staying. My mom was sleeping on the bed, and my little sister and I were sleeping on the floor. Unfortunately, somebody had realized that there are three vulnerable people in this place, and they decided to take advantage. And on the morning of the 1st of January 2001, I was unfortunately raped. I'm going to say it as matter of fact as possible because I can't dwell on it. I have spoken about it a number of times. I'm working on it in terms of healing. And yeah, it is what it is. So that's where it is. I didn't mention the prior molestation. My stepdad, he molested me from about the age of 9 up until, yeah, for when I was 9. And then there was my mom's cousin who molested me when I was around 5. This was when I was living in Soweto with a relative. So I just have a whole lot of history with rape and molestation, and all of that has had a huge impact on who I then became and how I navigated life between the ages of 11 and 9 and 20. So I'm gonna leave it here for now and just leave it at that. Oh, no, I can't leave it at that because 2 days after I was raped, my mom sadly lost the fight against AIDS, and she ended up dying due to the double pneumonia and what one of the opportunistic diseases from AIDS, because AIDS at the time had a different look. We were not getting ARVs or anything like that. So I lost a lot that year. I still cry about it to this day because it feels like my childhood was suspended. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. So again, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Keep sharing, subscribing, and pressing that like button. And I will see you again for part 2 of my story. Bye.